Hi everybody, Mike Beer here with Thursday's DRF race of the day. We're going to Aqueduct, race number 7, only an 8 race card at Aqueduct on Thursday. Race number 7, I guess you would call it the feature, New York bred entry-level allowance race for older horses. They're going to sprint 6 furlongs on the main track. Let's take a look at the field. Big field of 11 entered here. A lot of different ways to go. It feels like a very, very well-matched field on paper. I think there were a lot of different ways to go in here. Trips and pace will probably be very important in this race, and I didn't really feel like there was any, clear-cut, standout kind of favored horse in here. I think you're going to get, the favorite at a reasonable price in here. I didn't see anybody taking a ton of money, so I thought that there were different ways to go, and maybe you can hunt around here and catch somebody at the right price to be sure. Let's take a look at the Timeform US pace projector, because again, I do feel like trips and pace could be very important in this kind of a race. Timeform US thinks it's going to be run at a fast pace. They have the 3 Bulwark, the 5 Amazing Rip up there, the number 7 Leap to Glory also showing speed. Bustin' Timberlake down at the rail could certainly go forward. We'll see. I'm not sure that I totally agree it'll be a fast pace. It's certainly possible. I sort of felt like the more I looked at it that the number 3 Bulwark might be the best speed in the field, but we'll see how that all plays out. If he indeed is the best speed, that certainly gives him an advantage, and he's one of the faster horses. Just on speed figures, he has one of the fastest races in this field, so that's certainly an advantage for him. We'll see how competitive he gets early. Bustin' Timberlake down at the rail. Is he going to show speed this time? It's certainly possible. He has Kendrick Carmouche. Last time, his most recent race here, when they brought him back down from Finger Lakes, they tried to use his speed in there. All he could do was chase the pace. That wasn't, to me anyway, it wasn't a particularly fast pace in that November 21st race. He could not get to the lead. He chased it. He never had enough to get into contention in there. He finished behind a couple of the same horses he's going to be facing again this time. I'm not going to knock him. His overall form is solid. He's won 4 of his 7 starts this year. Maybe Carmouche guns him this time, and he's more forwardly placed. That could certainly work to his advantage. I didn't love his chances in here, but I get a case that could be made for him. Number 2, Raven Rocks, was a little bit more interesting to me. He's not the kind of horse that I would, be dying to take at a short price. I do think he could take money in here, but this is a horse who makes sense. He's by Into Mischief for a very good trainer. They paid some good money for this horse. His career debut came at Saratoga. And I thought he had an excuse that day. Had trouble at the start of that race, got bumped and then brushed afterwards. He wound up outrun, had to come around wide to the stretch. All in all, I didn't think it was a bad performance at all. And he took a big step forward in his second career start. He was entered main track only that day, a race that came off the turf. But he really improved. He had more speed in that race. He kept right up there on the pace with the horse who wound up finishing 3rd. What do you think now? That horse was a first-time starter that day. Raven Rocks went with that horse early and put him away around the turn. What do you think now? Came back to win his next start, and then last week he returned in an allowance race here at Aqueduct, and he earned an 84 Beyer speed figure. He ran very well. That horse is okay. So Raven Rocks beat a quality horse that day. I thought he took a big step forward to win that race. And he goes for a trainer who has very, very good numbers with horses like this. Jeremiah Englehart, last out maiden winners in dirt sprints with New York breds on this NYRA circuit. He's 8 for his last 17, 47%, 435 ROI. So he's getting these horses to win, and they're winning at fair prices as well. I think Raven Rocks is a player in here. I liked Bulwark. I feel like this horse is also a contender in this race. I mentioned earlier that he has, he's one of the fastest speed figures in the field. He's sort of a one-figure horse right now. With that 85 Beyer break in his maiden, but I really feel like he's run better than that in some of his other starts as well. His second career start off the layoff last October at Belmont, he ran pretty well that day. He had speed. He contested a very fast pace that day in a race that went to closers, and he settled for 4th. He came back in his next start over a sloppy track at Aqueduct. I did not think he had a good trip that day. Out wide the entire way, chasing that pace. Caught widest of all around the turn in there, and he kept racing on. He couldn't get into it, but he did not run poorly at all in that race. And then he obviously came back with the maiden win over this track back in January, his first start as a 4-year-old. He won that race very easily. He had good speed that day, 85 Beyer. A little concerning that he's only had 2 starts since then. There was a layoff after his next start, and he only got 1 start in over the summer. Another sloppy track. And that's the kind of race I'm not going to sit here and suggest that he ran well that day, and I don't have a huge excuse for him. But once again, he showed speed. I thought that was a pretty good field. He showed speed, tried to make the lead in there, and once he couldn't get it, he just sort of steadily tired and fell back out of contention. And that was a day at Belmont Park on June 6th where you had to be on the lead. It was an intensely speed favoring track. Once he got outrun to the front in there, he really had no chance at all. So I'm not going to hold that effort against him. I'm a little concerned that it's been a layoff since then. We haven't seen him in over 6 months, but this horse is pretty good. And I felt like there was a chance that he could be the speed of this race and make the lead to the rail, and that would be an advantage for him. Notorious flirts the 4. He's run fine in his last 2 races. I haven't seen any excuses for him, so I do think he's going to have to improve. He is third off the layoff for Linda Rice. I can see him getting a piece of this. Number 6, Farragut. I thought he was also an interesting horse, and I thought he might be a fair price in here. That's why I wanted to use him. They've been going longer with him lately. His last 4 starts, all a mile or longer. And he's fine routing. I actually feel like he's better sprinting. There's a case to be made that he could do either one effectively, I suppose. I like him sprinting. They're going to take the blinkers off here. The last time he sprinted is also the only time he's ever won a race. His most recent sprint back at Saratoga in August, and he, showed speed that day and gamely prevailed. It wasn't the most impressive win in the world, but he had run better races prior to that. I think he's run a couple of probably better races since then as well. And I like him cutting back. He's the kind of horse I feel like could be a fair price that I wanted to use. Leap to Glory is one of the horses that Timeform US has up close to the pace on the pace projector. That's possible. He was main track only in his most recent start in a race that was rained off the turf. He did make the lead. He was no match for those horses. The horse that won the race running with Scissors did come back to win again with a solid speed figure. So he faced an okay field last time. His last 2 starts back, a solid buyer speed figure when he finished behind Gemography. He's just had a lot of chances. He's won 6 times, but it's at least worth noting that 4 of those wins came consecutively last summer when they shipped him out of the Naira tracks to go race at Finger Lakes, and he sort of made hay up there. He's had a much tougher time of it down here on this circuit, but he's won a lot of races and he's got some speed. Gemography, I think he's a player in this race. Number 9, Gemography. The last 2 races are good. He's finished second in both of those competitive buyer speed figures, closing at the end. If the Timeform US pace projector is right and this race does develop at a fast pace in front of him, I expect him to come running at the end. His last 2 races, they are both pretty good. I thought he ran well last time. He did outfinish Notorious Flirt pretty easily, while only second best. This horse is in good form right now, and he may fit the flow of this race very well. Although, again, I'm not sure I agree that the pace has to be fast. Luna's in charge as the 11. He can win. I just didn't want to pick him. I felt like there was a chance he goes favored in this race. He's got plenty of speed figures that make him a contender. Only 5 of his 13 career starts. So he's only 1 for 13 on the way in, but only 5 of those starts have come against New York breds. One of those was off the layoff last year in his first start as a 3-year-old, and he didn't run well that day, but in his 4 other starts since then against New York breds, he's been second or third in all of them. The figures say he's competitive. He's got tactical speed, so I expect him to be forward from the outside post. He doesn't need the lead, but he can be up close. He just makes a lot of sense in this race. I just didn't love him. And I didn't think this was the kind of race where I wanted to take the favorite, and that more than anything else sort of sent me looking in other directions. So let's put the picks up there, and you can see I decided to take a shot with Bulwark. I've liked this horse. I feel like, again, he was a little bit better than he looked going into that maiden win over this track earlier this year, and things haven't gone great for him since then, but I could give this horse a chance at the right price as he starts back off the layoff. And again, I thought there was a chance he could make the lead in there. I think there is a chance he's the best speed in this field, so we'll see how that all plays out. I went 3, 6, 11, and 9 in Thursday's race of the day. It's the 7th race at Aqueduct. The approximate post time 3:45 Eastern time. Good luck.